The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
TV party tonight! TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated
To our favorite shows.
Oh, my circuits!
Everybody loves Hypno Toad.
Scary dog!
Dancing at Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Good evening. You are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast TV party tonight. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified Mr. Mark Radulich. And tonight, our favorite show is Black Mirror. Do you get it? Do you get it? Season 7. There's a rumor. Vicious rumor. Mark Radulich doesn't truck with other people's television shows, but that's not true. When Jesse Starcher pitches me a show, I listen. I have been listening for 6 seasons, now 7. This was your pick, Jesse Starcher. This is your
That's right.
fault. You did this to me.
It's not my fault.
Okay, then.
Yeah, buddy. Black Mirror. What a great, uplifting series. Makes me so hopeful for the future of humanity. Every single episode.
You know what I've been doing? I've been not posting clips of the shows anymore because no one gives a fuck.
I understand.
But I've been taking the old shows and having Fancy turn them into 1-minute TikToks.
Yeah.
So today, before in preparation for tonight's show, I went back through all 6 seasons of our review of Black Mirror.
No kidding. Okay.
And I had Notebook LM pick out its interpretation of 10 minutes, which is a little loosey-goosey.
No, it can be. Yeah, when you're filling it with a lot of text, I'm sure.
What it thinks is 10 minutes is not 10 minutes. But I say find a 10-minute segment that would be good for interacting with TikTok and YouTube, and give me the verbiage. Don't bleed into other segments. And it says, yes, boss. And then it tells me why, because I'm interested in why it picked what it did. Then I take that and I go to Google Docs. I create a text document because Fancy likes it. I ask Fancy, what's your favorite flavor of Word document? And it says, well, my favorite flavor is text.txt. Plain text, Jesse. Yes, Fancy is not a particular girl.
Mm-hmm.
She likes plain, vanilla, as it were.
Sure.
So I feed it a plain text file, and I say read and sorry.
You're right.
And I say read and summarize.
Mm-hmm.
Because Fancy lies to me.
No. Oh boy.
Fancy likes to default to easy rhythms, familiar tones,
Sure.
and things we've done before. It does not necessarily always want to do a new thing. It wants to do an old thing and let me think it's fine. But I am a harsh taskmaster.
Mm.
And I said, none of this lazy thinking. I'm not one of the hoi polloi that uses you to write their high school essays. You will give me exacting new material each time. So
Every time.
Every time. So I say, read and summarize this text file. And it does so. And then I say, okay, from this, produce a 1-minute TikTok. And its interpretation of 1 minute is also dodgy. But for the most part, it gives me pretty good stuff. It's able to distill the 10 to 30 minutes I pulled out of Notebook LM into 1 minute, and it's a 1-minute review of whatever season it was.
Mm-hmm.
I did this for all 6 seasons of Black Mirror.
Okay. All right.
But then just because My time with you is special, Jesse. It always has
Special.
been. You know,
Special.
we have a special connection. Everyone says so. So I
Might
said,
be a rainbow connection. Heck, you never know.
the lovers, the dreamers, and me.
That's right.
Gay. And I started a new chat, and I uploaded all 6 text files,
Okay.
all 6 seasons, and I said, read through all of these. Now, these are just the same segments, but I had to do it all at once.
Yeah.
Because when you do separate chats on ChatGPT, it does not connect them. You have to
Correct.
tell it to. These are all siloed. And I said, this is a flaw in your design, and someone should fix it. And it asked me, would you like to fix it? And I said, no, you're not gonna trick me into some sort of narrative back and forth that accomplishes nothing. You reflective, agreeable thing, you. I will not. I have to do coding, and I have to do programming and engineering, and
No.
all I do is have a conversation that mimics these things I see through you. Like, oh, can't pull the wool over your eyes. So I said, read through each one of these again, and I want to pull from this a psychological diagnostic based.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Based on our conversations.
Oh boy, this ought to be interesting. I cannot wait.
Oh, the things it told me. Learned a lot about myself through our conversations, Jesse. Learned a lot about myself through our conversations with Black Mirror. I apparently, on one of the episodes, I don't remember which one now, I talked about Melissa. I didn't like read through the thing again, but I guess one of the episodes triggered a memory of mine. And I gave an example about like confronting Melissa about something. That was one of the things that between Notebook LM and ChatGPT, it picked out as, this is good stuff. You should talk about this. Like, oh,
okay.
Interesting.
All right.
So that led us to today, Jesse. That led us to season 7. And I'll tell you, things are different now. It actually feels like a return to form. Not a step backwards, thank God, because season 6, boy, how atrocious that was. What we get here is a fusion. The show reclaims its original soul as a commentary on technology and society, while folding in emotional depth and genre range introduced in season 6, which you and I did not like. This season doesn't abandon experimentation, but now it's anchored. Each episode is either built around a speculative piece of future tech or aimed squarely at how that tech refracts our behavior. The emotional core is still there, but it's no longer floating in genre drift. You know what I mean? It's grounded in editorial intent, which is the thing I like about this show. Critics are picking up on this shift, Jesse. I didn't ask the angry metal guy, what he thought, because I don't feel like this would be his bag. But The Guardian calls it the warmest, most human season ever, but still sees it as a thrilling satire. Rotten Tomatoes and The Ringer both point to a return to dystopian sci-fi and say Brooker was listening after season 6's detour. Even Tom's Guide praises the way season 7 hits harder, calling episodes like Common People and Eulogy. Let me tell you, when we get to Eulogy, how much that episode wrecked me.
Yeah, dude.
Some of the show's most emotional yet. The balance, as all things must be, is back. Technology is no longer just a backdrop or a gimmick. It's the central metaphor again. And Brooker, now more curator than sole voice, lets the anthology breathe without losing grip on the message. Black Mirror Season 7 finally answers the question Season 6 left hanging. Can this show evolve without losing itself? The answer, of course, is yes, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Because this time, Jesse, Aloysius Starcher III, this time the tech doesn't just twist the plot, it reveals the truth. How do you like that?
Like it. I like it.
So what do you think of this season so far?
Well, I mean, hey, I enjoyed what we got. There was a lot of more. I would say that we really focused on using technology here as something to help us instead of it turning on us. There's a little bit more of that than there has been, in the previous seasons. So, but there's a couple, maybe one or two episodes that are not my favorite, but I don't hate them. So every single one of these episodes seem to have something to say and it was worth watching and contemplating, because that's usually what I wanted out of a Black Mirror episode. I think I remember last season, that was one of my biggest complaints, was like, there was some crazy stuff that happened in some of the episodes, and you just walked away going like, okay, what was the point? Why was this something? I think the Red Door, or whatever the horror one was entertaining enough, but I mean, I don't know if you could even say really where the technology part came in that most Black Mirror episodes had. So, that was, I've enjoyed what we got here, season 7.
When you pitched me the show, I was resistant to it because I didn't want to do a horror anthology.
Yeah.
And when you were like, it's not just a horror anthology, it's a commentary on technology.
Yes.
And all the way back to the first season, he's gonna fuck that pig. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. It was somebody using technology to disguise their whereabouts, disguise their identity, and he was holding the Prime Minister of England hostage, so to speak. And we had a really lengthy discussion about that. That's what caused the buy-in for me. Every season that we've talked about this. So I was talking to my son today about Black Mirror, and he was like, I'm interested in the show. I guess he's now heard about season 7, and I guess whatever circles 11-year-olds travel in have somehow this got to him.
Right.
And he's like, I'm like, go back and watch it from the beginning. And when you get to striking vipers, let me know.
Oh boy. Anthony Mackie. Oh man.
Yeah. I said, when you get to striking vipers, I'm going to need an immediate text of your reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked at me and he sighed and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, Father. And I said, Son. He said, Father, because he called me Father. He said, Father.
Father.
Is this the one where the two guys bang each other in the video game? And I kissed him ever so gently on the forehead, and I rubbed his hair, his mess of long hair, and I said, Son, yes, it's the one where the two black guys bang in a video game.
Yep.
And he sighed back at me, and he said, I know what I must do. So, he's allegedly going to watch Black Mirror.
I can't wait. Can't wait to hear what his reactions are.
I would tell you. I mean, I probably would say outside of the David Simon stuff that we discussed, this has probably gotten the most emotional reactions out of me.
Really? Wow.
Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Our discussions of Black Mirror, I should say.
Right. Right. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. My goodness. I mean, the series does a great job of like handling really sometimes out there sci-fi, but putting a spin on it to make you think, this isn't something that can't happen, because you're seeing some of these trends right now.
Look at what technology we know does to us. You watch too much TV, or you're too sedentary, you start to have health problems. You use artificial intelligence too much, different muscles, not the least of which is your brain, start to atrophy.
Right.
Look at the case after case after case of technology that is supposed to be assistive, make our life easier, and the unintended consequences of this. And that's what the show really deals with in a narrative form. I think the difference for me now with season 7 versus the previous 6 seasons, this is the closest the show has ever gotten to not always having to comment on technology, but use the technology to tell a very interesting story.
Right.
I mean, Eulogy isn't a commentary on technology. Eulogy is just a short story, but it was so emotionally resonant, I don't care. So let's get into it, unless you have any other thoughts about just sort of the overall arc of Black Mirror before going into season 7.
Well, I just took a look to see when season 6 released, because I was curious about what the world was like back then. Because so it was 2 years ago, June 2023, Joan is Awful drops.
Right.
What
a time we had with that.
Yeah. And we are on, that's like the precipice for me as far as like learning about artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, things like that. I'm starting to learn about all that stuff. And I think it was shortly before that, I remember hearing Rob Liefeld talk about how they could feed in scripts to something and ChatGPT would spit out a new show, a new episode of something. And then the whole deep fakes and using that technology to redo movies was something that was brought up.
You know what was also about to happen at that time?
Tell me.
The SAG strike.
Yes. And I think that's what bore this conversation that Rob Liefeld had on his podcast. He was talking about why they were striking. So, here we are 2 years later, and things are really taking off in the AI space. And if you look at what we were 2 years ago versus today, it's insanity. So, the world of Black Mirror gets ever so closer to present day, which is kind of scary, but you don't know what's going to happen next sometimes. But I'm ready to get into it, man.
All right, it's one of the few series that we talk about on TV Party Tonight that I'm still doing episode by episode because it is an anthology series, so it really wouldn't be right to kind of talk about it in narrative arcs. There are no narrative arcs. It's every episode's a new movie. That's let me say that. The other thing is, I blocked out time to watch this, thinking it's just an hour per episode. What were these, like an hour and a half?
I know USS Callister or whatever it was. That's an hour and a half. Some of them are around an hour. Like I had each one has usually right around 50 minutes to an hour. And then, but yeah, USS Callister was definitely Into Infinity or whatever it was. That was an hour and a half.
That's a short movie.
That is a movie. Yeah. That's a movie.
I feel like Betty Noir was also an hour and a half. But I watched that late at night with my girlfriend, and I remember we checked the time at one point. I can't believe this is still going on.
Yeah, Hotel Reverie. That's the one. Yeah,
that's the one I'm thinking of. That's an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's close. Eulogy was 47 minutes. So I think Hotel Reverie and USS Callister were the two long ones this season. The rest of them are right around, or if not a little bit before an hour.
All right, so let's talk about Common People. Shall we, Jesse? Shall we talk about Common People?
It's a common man.
He's working hard with his hands. He's American Dream. That's right. Is the first episode in the 7th series of the British science fiction anthology television series Black Mirror, written by Bisha K. Ali and the series creator and showrunner Charlie Brooker, and directed by Ali Pankew. It premiered April 10th, along with the rest of the season. The story centers around a woman, Rashida Jones, who needs a subscription service to survive. She's a brain tumor that basically renders her brain dead. She's in the hospital. She faints at school. And the consequences she experiences as the price goes up and the quality declines, as well as the lengths her husband, Chris O'Dowd, is willing to go in order to cover the cost of the service. The episode received positive reviews from critics and praise going towards the performances of the cast, the commentary, and the ending. So I'm going to throw it to you really quickly, but I got to talk about this first.
Okay.
My first initial gut reaction to this episode was, isn't it nice to see a couple who likes each other? That was the most futuristic, fictional thing about this entire season. Everything else, is really believable, but this, my God, a husband and wife who like each other? What fantasy?
What are they doing? Going out on anniversary dates to the same place and enjoying each other's company?
A husband who doesn't quietly resent his wife? My God.
GTFO. Come on.
A wife who genuinely enjoys the personality of her husband? Get out. Cut it out.
Oh, my goodness.
Anyway, so they love each other, which is nice. Yep. And then she gets brain dead, and he's like, anything to save this woman who I love. So they sign up with the subscription service, Riverbend, or whatever the hell it's called, Rivermind. And it operates, so it's almost a joke. You know what I mean? It's almost like a satire. On cell phone service. Or I guess a cable service, but really more cell phone, because that's more personally interactive than passively interactive the way cable or internet is. So it's like if you sign up, and I love the language that's used for this episode. If you sign up now, it's $300 a month. Okay, I mean it's gonna cause things to be tight, but anything to save my wife, and I will do it.
Right.
All right. Well, here's the thing. There's Rivermind Plus. And right there, I was like, haha.
Yeah, you tricky sons of guns.
You're commenting on the use of plus in language now. It's, remember Disney Plus? Remember that, Jesse?
Oh, I do.
Everything is a plus, LGBTQIA plus.
Okay.
Which my son wants to know what you get if you go to the plus tier in that particular category. Are you extra gay?
You gotta win a prize or something. I don't know.
You have like gay Iceman powers. So you just and a rainbow comes out and you can ride the rainbow around.
Crazy.
Throw a rainbow at people.
Love it.
I don't know why I went with Iceman there, but
Bobby Drake is gay. He turned gay here not too long ago. Or well, I should say he was outed as gay.
Is there anyone left at Marvel not gay at this point?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Don't know.
The Hulk is LGBTQIA+.
I hear that's the case.
This is how he fights.
Rawr.
Anywho, running gags. I love them. So every couple of months or so, the service changes. The previous tier is not as good, and life becomes unbearable. And they have to keep upping the tier. This should sound familiar, and paying more. And they're like, and it's different when it's like your cell phone. Like, you really you could live without your cell phone. It's a whole other thing when a different choice is the death of your wife.
Right. You are essentially paying to keep her alive.
Right. And it's like the moral implications of this. This is a business they went into more or less with their eyes open. And it's the conversation people have about healthcare, cosplaying as a commentary about technology, which is, why should I have to go broke to have decent health?
Yeah.
Why does the cost of a better life, a healthy life, cause bankruptcy?
Right.
That's what the episode is talking about. It's also, to a lesser extent, talking about the things that will do, the desperation that sets in to take care of your loved one. So he's like humiliating himself.
Yeah.
On this one YouTube-esque channel. Like if you, I think
it's called Dumb Dummies or something.
Yeah, it's a combination like YouTube thing where it's like you get super chats, people pay for super chats, and if they do, then you have to do what they say, what they ask you to do. So it's just like, if they send me and you a super chat right now on YouTube, and they say, all right, if I give you $10, you hit yourself in the head with a frying pan. All right, here we go. Ding, that's $10. And they just like shove stuff up your ass. Like, and what's hilarious about this, and I will shut up so you can talk. But what's hilarious about this is the writers just like no fucking faith in humanity at all. It was like, if this were a real thing, we would absolutely tell people to drink piss and shove things up their ass. Within seconds, there would be no waiting involved.
Are you saying if this is a real thing, or if this could be a real thing? I honestly think it possibly is a real thing on the dark web. I really possibly do.
Let's just go with that. If this is a real thing, I guarantee you that's what's happening.
Right. It's all dark web nastiness. But yeah, man, this is a sad story. You're right. Our Chris O'Dowd's Mike Waters, I think is their name, the Waters family here. Mike is madly, obviously, in love with his wife, doesn't want her to die, so he has to try and make ends meet. And yeah, it's silly what he's doing, but also it puts into perspective what would you do if you had to try and keep your significant other alive? What lengths would you go to? I mean, he's pulling his own teeth out, and it ends up, costing him his job, which is,
I never want to cross the street again.
Right.
When it happened in USS Callister, I almost threw my fucking hands up and said, I am done with people getting run over by cars in frame.
Yeah. Don't be talking in the middle of the road. Stop.
Like they're fucking coming out of a wormhole.
Oh, where the hell?
Jesse,
Yeah,
I'm driving 70 miles an hour on the interstate, and I see a tire. I slow down. People
right,
are
dude.
people are just driving over other people like it's maximum overdrive in film these days.
Right in the middle of town, too. It's not like, I mean, damn.
Why were you going 120 miles an hour in a fucking parking lot? The fuck?
Right.
I believe that it's Regina George's fault. That's where I think.
Okay. All right, then. Regina
it
George.
In Mean Girls all those years ago. We've never forgotten it. Justice for Regina.
Justice for Regina. Yeah, we watch them go through the silliness of what they have to do next in order to continue to get some type of, there's a commentary of the type of lifestyle that you can possibly live with better health care, for sure, because he's, now, here's this tier that you can go up. You can pay a little bit extra money, and you could get this surgery that you need. Right. It's things like that, and it's really a sad story.
Right. I think, I mean, we could spend just an hour on this episode alone because there's a discussion to be had about capitalistic healthcare versus state-controlled healthcare. Morally, state-controlled healthcare, I think, is best. But have you talked to people who have state-run healthcare? The waits for you'll die waiting for healthcare.
You've got to drive some kind of real stupid distance in order to go to the one place that covers you. Yeah, it is a mess. It is a horrible mess.
We do not yet live in the Star Trek incentiveless universe. So the reason people become doctors is because it's one of the highest paying professions there is. Yes, they want to help people, but you can get an equally high paying position doing something else that helps nobody.
Right.
People choose to become doctors. And what it has been said is that if there isn't that financial incentive to become a doctor, less people will become them. Let's put it this way. How many people go into teaching versus go into medicine? And how does that calculus change when you're paying doctors like teachers? Ask the people in Europe. I remember I have a patient of mine who is a native of France, and he is a citizen of the world now. He travels all over the place, and he'll tell you about how there's a lot of great stuff about European healthcare, and then there's nightmare stuff.
Ugh.
So I don't have an answer. I just know that the show is speaking to that internal global debate over how are we supposed to deal with a cancerous aging population that has overgrown this planet. There's no good answers, unfortunately. But the show certainly had a perspective on that. The one thing I did want to bring up, and it reminded me of you, my love. You and Andrew actually both had kind of a similar reaction to this. The amount of ads on Spreaker.
Oh.
A year or so back when Sean and I were forced to put 1,000 ads in our audio podcast that was all controlled by Spreaker, and I immediately got messages from you and Andrew what the fuck with all the ads?
What the hell is going on?
It's about a minute and a half before every ad break.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. You really put the podcast on. And let me tell you another thing about Batman. Hello. If you have got an injury or an ailment, call Morgan and Morgan. And my son's reaction, because I'll listen to the podcast in the car and he'll hear the same ads. The certain ads that I get because they're targeted to the user, but based on who's using Spreaker to do ads. And my son's like, why do you keep getting ads for dick medicine? What's going on with you over there? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't search the web for these sort of things. I don't know why they targeted me for this. It's not fair, I'll tell you that much. But why am I getting, Morgan and Morgan, which is a famous law firm here in the Tampa area? I get that too.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous, and it's always the same ad through the entire length. So our shows are typically 2 hours long, and it's the same ad every other minute for 2 hours. By the end of it, I'm just shoot me.
Get me out.
I don't want to listen to podcasts anymore. I'm going to give you the last word on this. The point of me bringing that up is,
I was going to say you got to. Yeah, I know where you were going with this.
Yeah. So on the tier that she's at for the majority of the episode, in order to make it worthwhile for the company, she will occasionally drift into ads.
Yeah.
And they're targeted to whoever she's talking about, and they're contextual. So it would be Jesse and I are having a conversation, and in the middle of all this, I go, you know, it's like, oh, so I'm watching this episode, and the guy in the, and the guy's just like, Slimer's got all of these hot dogs in his mouth, and if you like a fine hot dog, Oscar Mayo wieners, for the ghost in you, for the Slimer in you, and it's like, I'm being silly about it, but like it happens, and she drifts out.
Yep.
The ad takes over, and then she drifts back in and doesn't know what just happened.
She has no idea what happened. The one moment that I remember is her in the school with the kid. The kid comes up and starts talking, and she starts, she's in the middle of having a conversation with him, and then she just starts going off about some kind of specific thing that
Christian
she should go and buy.
It was Christian counseling.
Christian counseling. Yeah, that's going to be a problem when you're a teacher. There's somebody might have a problem with that.
Says so right in the Constitution, a separation of church and school.
I wanted to ask you about the ending, because that was the one thing that bothered me about this. Because he
lives out every husband's dream.
Oh,
go on.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness.
Just like, stop.
He grabs a pillow, as she is drifting off. He pays for that one like awesome tier where she can control her emotions and all this other stuff. And then that's it. They can't afford much of anything else anymore. And so instead, here's what I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe it was a situation where if the signal goes dead, she suffers in some way, but instead he reaches for a pillow and suffocates her.
Yep.
And I was like, why not just...
Mid-ad, Jesse.
That's true. That's true. He's probably just tired of the ads. He's like, okay, shut up.
Every time I've domestically violenced my radio.
Right. But I didn't understand that.
Like, do that though. She tells him like kill me do it while I'm not here.
Okay. Well, I guess she. Yeah. Okay. So that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Do you think that he kills himself afterwards?
I don't know.
They didn't really come out and say it, but it seemed like it was kind of open-ended that he might have.
He seems like the type that's going to end up homeless. Just out there, waiting to die. So it's a hard thing, believe it or not, to commit suicide. And I don't know. I feel like he's more going to be like one of the zombie people than kill himself outright.
Because well, that's kind of all I had on that. I mean, it was of all of the episodes that we're going to.
Oh my God, this was so depressing.
This one was the darkest and saddest, really. The rest of them are going to be kind of bittersweet. We're going to have some sad emotions, but we're going to have some happy ones too.
Okay. Well, folks, if you tuned into this episode of TV Party to hear Jesse talk, and you're annoyed that I kind of overtalk that session, you're in luck. Because this next episode of Black Mirror, I have almost nothing to say. So take it away, Jesse.
What are we getting into here? Which one's this?
Bête Noire is the second episode in the 7th series of the British science fiction anthology series called Black Mirror, written by series creator and showrunner Charlie Brooker and directed by Toby Haynes. The episode centers on Maria, a culinary researcher whose reality begins to subtly change after an old classmate begins work at her office. It generally received positive reviews from critics because, of course, it did. So, like, I'm going to let you more or less explain this, but one of the things I don't like about this episode is I don't feel like the technology is as organically integral to human development and existence. I feel like this was magic technology that they invented for the purpose of doing the show. And I'm like, well, that kind of breaks the reality of the show for me. So take it away.
So I get it. I get what you're saying. So essentially, we have our two ladies here. We said Maria and Verity.
Mm-hmm.
Maria had bullied Verity when she was a kid. Verity had made her way back and found Maria at her job and becomes an employee of the job. And then we have like a crazy Mandela effect thing that's going on where Maria keeps remembering things, and like the very next day she is told no, that isn't the case, and she's believing that, well, hey, I just looked at this yesterday and now it's changed. Right. So to me it was like, oh, this is definitely a Berenstain. See, look at that Berenstain Bears Mandela effect kind of thing going on at first, and I kind of knew where we were going to end up going, but I think the journey there was fun because she is doubting herself. You know, people are like, what are you talking about? She's believing that everybody's gaslighting her.
the episode.
Right. But we essentially have a story here of a trauma and revenge. Verity, yeah, that's right. It was a good one. Verity has this device, just kind of like what you said, that will allow her to essentially like change the timeline. That's probably the best way to put it. She can do something to go back and change something. I think one of the things that she changes, gosh, there's something to do with almond milk and how she, I think it's Maria that's allergic or something. I cannot remember, but either way, she's got godlike powers. And the only reason she is doing this is so she can Verity's doing this is so she can mess with Maria because of what Maria had done in the past. So there is a moment though that really took me by surprise, specifically at the end, where near the end, I like that. Yeah. Balance of power, truth, and revenge. That's what is going on here. When Verity has her, well, let's try it again. When Maria follows Verity home and then she breaks into Verity's house, gets a freaking gun, and you're like, oh man, you know, this isn't going to end well for Maria. And Maria puts a bullet in Verity's head and then the cops show up. I mean, I was like, oh, that took me completely by surprise. I was curious as to where they were going to go. And the cops show up. She's just able, quick enough, if I remember right, to grab a hold of that, whatever. It was some kind
magic
of
pendant.
Right. And then she's able to control reality from there on out. But does she learn not the error of her ways, but does she learn anything from what just happened with Verity? No, she goes off and becomes the ruler of whatever Verity was at one point. Like, so it's, you know, you get this power and you wonder, you watched it corrupt Verity. Cause I think at the point that Verity has her, or has the pendant and is doing these things, she's already done all this stuff. And now all she's wanting to do is just go back and mess with the people that messed with her in the past. So she's bored and she's just kind of taking it out on these people. And that's her way of messing with them until it finally catches up and bites her in the butt. And then Maria takes it over and you wonder if she learned anything or not. So I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. Me and the family watched it together. I think it was, magic technology for sure. There is, you know, some stuff out there that's kind of like rooted with quantum computing and quantum universes and crap like that. That's probably, you know, it's got literature on it and they kind of derive from that. But other than that, it was a good time in my opinion. I think it was, you know, it's fun. One of the, just like you said, one of the more fictional episodes this season for sure.
I'm not, as Ronnie would say, I'm not gonna yuck anyone's yum about that episode. It's not interesting to me. None of it was interesting. The characters aren't interesting. The story's not interesting.
The story wasn't interesting to you at all. Like this girl, you didn't even we're sitting there going what's going on? That's what I was doing the whole time.
Here's the thing. I was also drifting in and out of the episode. So
all right then.
That might take a rewatch for me. But what I remember seeing, what I was awake for, like, I don't care about this. Like this is to me, this is at best it comments on the human condition.
Sure.
Which is fine. I certainly do enjoy that sort of thing. But again, I'm in Black Mirror because I want the technology commentary, but or which we'll talk about with the next two, or there's something at the emotional core that resonates with me. This did neither. There was no technology commentary, and
at the very least, it asks you the question, like, if you had
what power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I've only heard that since I'm 5. Have you met my dad?
If you had the power of some type of new technology, you know, one of the things that reminded me of was like, you know, right now deep fakes is a thing where deep fake revenge, which I don't know if you've heard of that or not, where some exes are going and finding videos of their ex-husband, ex-wife, and creating a deep fake in order to ruin their lives. And that's kind of,
this is why we're not invited into Starfleet.
well, yeah, we'll be talking about something similar to that here towards the end. But yeah, I mean, those people are getting, they feel they're justified doing that because of the way something went down in that relationship.
What does Saint Snoop say, Jesse? Deserve ain't got nothing to do with it.
Well, so that's about the only parallel I could probably bring between Verity and Maria here.
Hang on, because now you've tripped something with me. Have we now evolved past so me and you are in a relationship, right? And we want to have sexy time, so I send you pictures of my penis. This is what you want. This is what I want. This is what we do.
I need you dancing around because that's going to help my deep fake later, but go ahead.
Right. So my point is then when you get mad at me and break up, you're like, and then what we used to do in a normal society, we just used to put those pictures on the internet somewhere. Now,
right.
Now what you're telling me is that they not only will do that, but they'll create entire fucking videos of.
I'm not lying, dude. Go check. I think this is, this has been something that's been going on for a little while now where, I mean, the technology is there and you want to really, because here's the thing, people are so caught up in as to whether something is real or not, or sometimes people aren't. People just see something and completely accept it for what it is on the internet.
Just spend an hour on TikTok.
Right.
The amount of times I've had to take a thing I've learned on TikTok and run it past Fancy and be like, would you please research this thoroughly? Because this seems like crap to me.
This is not, I don't have the time to discern this right now. Can you do it for me, please? Because And
the amount of bullshit and lies. Dude, I had to do an entire piece on misinformation in the WNBA. Because it was every day, Caitlin Clark is leaving the WNBA. No, she isn't. Every day, Angel Reese is leaving the WNBA. No, she isn't.
That is, and you're a single voice out there trying to educate people.
Yeah, it's just a fucking uphill struggle, and I mean vertically, 90.
Yeah, you're right up the wall. I mean, damn. That's rough, man. That is rough.
I will say, just so we can move this on. My girlfriend liked it. You liked it. Everyone in your family liked it. I'm sure people did. People obviously, we just read that people giving it good reviews. Didn't really tickle my fancy. However, this next one. Hotel Reverie. This one I really liked. This was my second favorite one of the season. Is the third episode in the seventh series of Black Mirror. Written by series creator and showrunner Charlie Brooker. Directed by Wang. The episode centers around an actress, Brandy Friday, who's played by Issa Rae, who stars in a remake of a 1940s romance film by acting in the simulation alongside artificial intelligence versions of the characters through an immersive AI-based virtual production. Hotel Reverie received generally positive reviews with praise directed towards Ray's performance and the visuals, as well as the more somber and bittersweet tone compared to previous Black Mirror episodes. This was really sweet, I thought. Emma Corrin, by the way, who I think did an amazing job with this. Everyone's throwing it to Issa Rae, and I won't get into why because I don't feel like dealing with that right now. But I will tell you, I think Emma Corrin did an amazing job with her character. So. This one I can see people struggling with. My girl, I haven't put the comments in yet. My girlfriend is currently spamming us with no. This is no, just no.
This one was horrible.
If you're not a film person, if film does not really matter to you, if you're casual, dirty casual film person, and I mean that in the development and production sense, this is not really going to do a whole lot for you. Then there's, because everybody is gay right now. Everyone is gay, Jesse. This is an hour and a half lesbian romance between an artificial intelligence character and a real actress. So there's that element of it, and then there's the other part of this, which is we're not dealing in a piece of cultural. We're dealing with a cultural artifact of the 1940s, which I think people struggle with now. Anything, if you ever ask your kids, would you watch a black and white movie? What would the react? What would Mongo say if you were like, Mongo, we're gonna watch Casablanca? Father, what is Casablanca? Sorry,
Mongo, not like that.
Hey, Mongo, we're gonna watch Casablanca. What Casablanca, Father? Is that house cheese, Father?
I like house cheese.
No, Mongo. It's a black and white movie. No color. But seriously, I don't know if I can get my kids to watch a black and white movie. My kids are fucking film nerds. Yeah. Just waiting for you to like say like would your kids be into like watching a black and white movie?
Mine? I mean, mine. No, I mean, it would be hard to get me to be honest. I think just recently my daughter and I'm pretty sure this is a black and white movie, Rear Window.
Mm-hmm.
I had passed it on some kind of streaming service, and she's like, "Oh, I watched that. It's pretty good." And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Whoa, okay, yeah, that took me by surprise." But yeah, dude, and I'm very similar. You know, it's hard for me to get past uh into movies in like the 70s and 60s. There's been a few that I've really enjoyed,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because of certain directors or like
Look, I'm a film person, and past the 70s, I struggle.
it's tough. It can
So,
be tough.
so you're talking about like a movie from the 1940s in a generation where they just don't have a large cultural touch. I mean, like the last group that would even be close to that would be the Boomers, and no,
And you got to think about what the 80s and 90s had brought to us as far as
Mhm.
action goes, and things are just that much more sped up now
sure,
for these kids. So
So-
sitting back and trying to take the patience of
Right.
sitting through, you know, a black and white film and the plot and in order for us to get to a certain spot, it's nothing compared to today,
And-
which makes sense.
and we haven't talked about it yet, but there's like a growing backlash against artificial intelligence in the arts. You know, like as many of these people are out there making these videos and they're all over TikTok and things like that, there's just as many people going, stop this. This is slop. I don't want it. You know, like the YouTube just made a whole rule about you can't monetize content that's AI created. Like just as soon as I started it, they're like, passed the rule saying no more. I already got that message from Sean. I'd already gotten off of Big Motion by that point. But like you just look what happened to you. You had like offloaded your entire fucking podcast practically to artificial intelligence, and the reaction you got was hostility.
Yeah.
like come back, Sasha, come back. We want to
Yeah.
hear you mispronounce words, Sasha.
And to this day, I mean, I have stopped because I understand
Hmm.
I understand a little bit of their argument. They want that human element. They know who I am. They know and that's fine. Okay, I can come back. I can stutter and I can mispronounce things. I can appellation things all over the place. Sure. Okay, that makes me a
Right.
human, I guess. But yeah, I mean, this right here, this episode,
Mhm.
is a combination of like Joan is awful.
Yeah.
Because I think Streamberry is part of this episode. Actually,
Everything is now the Netflix, the Netflix universe.
which again is, you know, like I was talking about earlier,
Mhm.
there's this deep fake technology. Well, now you start using that to put people into things pretty easily. It's a little bit more accessible now.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Like once this becomes user friendly and the barrier to entry is the floor, people are going to start inserting themselves into Star Wars.
Yeah, I you know, you and I do the Suno now. You and I have been
Mhm.
making music, right?
Oh, I'm almost done with my album.
Yes, yes. And one of the things that I've noticed, and I think I went on a little bit of a tirade in the chat,
Mhm.
I'll do it for the podcast, but really, I noticed that my music consumption has changed because I have such a personal relationship with these songs that no one's ever heard before that I created and made. You know, it's silly
Mhm.
shit, but it's something that I created or I'm part of.
Sorry, my
Now-
favorite thing that you've done recently is the EP of like weather music.
It's local on the 8s, Mark.
Yes.
Local on the 8s. Turn your weather channel on. You can hear local on the 8s. Yes, I did a whole album inspired by that in about 15 minutes, by the way.
Yeah.
It took me 15 minutes to create that. But the thing that I'm, the thing that we're going to get to at some point is where we're almost already there. VO3 is kind of there. It's a little bit expensive, but prices usually only go down when this technology gets more widely
Sure.
accepted. So when you start and you're able to create your own 2-hour movie, consumption of like regular stuff is going to change.
Yeah.
And now this, tying it back to this episode or this
Mhm.
episode that we're talking about, this is going to be kind of one of those steps on the way where you can kind of put yourself into a real famous movie, and that'll be fun. And it'll
Mhm.
only be you that enjoys it, really, and that's fine because it's something that you did and
Right.
and you like to see. So
So the plot of this thing is that they don't want to remake the movie. It's a studio that's going out of business. It's a day that ends in Y. But they have this back catalog of classic movies. So what they want to do is they want to try inserting a new, fresh actor into one of these old movies, and it'll like slightly change things, but it'll be fun to see. Like the example that he uses, it's fun to see Ryan Gosling interact with Emma Corrin of that era, and that's all that's really going to happen here. The problem is, just as soon as they get Issa Rae to do it, and Issa Rae wants to do it because and I really enjoyed this element of it, but this is very much like I'm such a film person, and I don't mean like as an experiencer, like I'm a film business person. So she's sitting here going, there are two roles for women. I can either be like a love interest, or I can't remember the other thing that she comes up with, but it's like, this is it. I'm like, oh, I can either be in, you know, in a Sundance fucking indie victim thing, or I can be a love interest. That's it. I can't be the pursuer. I can't be the lead. You know, in that kind of a way, in a way that a man can. That's the gender
typecast as a certain thing.
Right. Well, as a woman, there are limitations to what I'll be accepted in.
Right.
And she's frustrated as an actor because, as I said before, actors want to stretch. So she gets this opportunity to play the lead male role as herself, as a woman. And let's see how that changes the script, if at all. Except that she sucks. And she keeps fucking it up, and they're like having to, like, you know, fix it on the go. So a lot of the tension, Awkwafina plays the producer of this, and she's working with technology people who are both technology people and screenwriting people, because they can't. So there's a lot of like technobabble that's happening, but also a lot of this beat changes this action changes this beat. If this doesn't happen, we don't get into the second act.
Yeah.
So you have to understand narrative structure.
Right. It's this movie is running at start time, and these specific parts of the storyboard have to happen in order for us to get to the next part of the storyboard.
Right.
And if we don't, stuff can break.
What if in Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi's just like, you will come with me to Alderaan, and looks like no. Which he does say. Then he goes home and he sees his parents are dead. What happens to the story if Luke just fucking offs himself?
Right.
Like, oh, my aunt and uncle who I love so much. Oh, woe is me. And it's like,
you're right.
You know, it's just like, oh, well, you will come with me to Alderaan. The fuck I will. You know, like, where does the story go from here?
Right.
What happens is his hands leaving the Mos Eisley's cantina, and Greedo does actually shoot fucking first. Going somewhere solo? Yes, I was just going to see your boss. Well, give me the money and I will take the job. But no, I will go, fuck you, pal. Shoots fucking Harrison Ford dead in the head.
Rest of the movie is just Darth Vader blowing shit up.
Darth Vader just cutting people to shreds. This is what you want? This is how you like it?
Womp, womp, womp.
That's all Star Wars is Darth Vader killing people. Anyway. I hate you. All of you. All of you Star Wars fans.
All you Star Wars fans.
Moving on. The point is, so it's a very tense episode, because if they're not dealing with technobabble, things blowing up, like they're on the Enterprise, they're dealing with like story beats that are out of whack.
Right.
Then there was a Truman Show-esque element to this of, is this my life? Is this real? Is this my beautiful house? Is this my beautiful wife? Like, the Emma Corrin character has to deal with the existential crisis of, I'm a character.
Yeah.
And this is not a real world, and there are limits to what I can do here. But now I feel things because I'm artificial intelligence. I now feel things like a human does, and I need purpose. I need a universe to grow into. I need a direction, and she doesn't have any of that thing. She's like, what are we doing here? Then there's the tension also of Issa Rae, because at some point she loses connection to Awkwafina, and so she's like, am I ever going to get out of here? Am I going to be in a what is it, the episode?
White Christmas.
Is this going to be like a White Christmas episode where I'm just going to stay here forever?
Yeah.
You know, and time moves differently, of course. So it's like, there's just so much. There was so much going on in this episode.
There was a lot. And then one of the other things, the important things that you hadn't mentioned yet is, I can't remember if it's Clara in the film or if it's Dorothy in the film, but either way, the actress in real life actually had committed suicide because she was gay, and she was
Mm-hmm.
a lesbian, and ends up dying a tragic death.
Mm-hmm.
And our AI character starts to learn about that.
Right.
And of course that just adds on to the existential crisis that you're talking about. Like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm not a real person, and the real person, and of course, you know, Brandy and Dorothy fall in love in that time that they have after the coffee gets spilled on the keyboard or whatever. That time that they have, it's like a month of just nothingness except those two finding each other and falling in love, and then the system comes back up, it boots back
Right.
up, and we go, places everyone. Truman Show.
And what's hilarious is that they had already like built up this relationship. Things were happening during that time. One of my favorite exchanges in the episode is what sets off a lot of the things going awry is she tries to play piano and it doesn't work. You know.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And there's a whole thing about that. So later on, she's at the piano, and Emma Corrin's character is like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Like, pushes her off the piano. Like, "Let me show you how to play. Move."
Yeah.
And she does it so well. You know, it's you know, I'm not against like feminist culture. I'm not. I think it has its place, and I think there are ways of doing it where you don't have to minimize men. Like two things can exist at the same time. You can have pro-feminist culture and like pro-male culture, and not have one diminish the other. And why I'm bringing that up is like there was a lot of promotion of female agency in Hotel Reverie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was this idea of like you have control over your destiny. You don't have to do this or that. You don't have to be the do nothing princess, that kind of stuff. So, you know, and then again, there's the pro gay message in this of like, you know, don't be in the closet. You know, express yourself. Part of the reason why I'm like as pro, you know, ally when I'm being serious about it, LGBTQI plus, because I pay for the subscription, is is that I don't want people to die. I don't want people to kill themselves because they can't live as themselves.
Yeah, you want. Yeah, I mean, acceptance isn't that hard to do, folks.
Yeah.
It really, really isn't.
Yeah, I don't need you to like it. You just need to leave these people the fuck alone.
Right. Just like accept that it is something, and you don't have it doesn't affect you in any way.
Right. So there's a lot of that in this episode as well. So like, why did I like this episode? It doesn't really speak to the morality of the technology at all. Like, this isn't really about the morality of deepfake or, you know, artificial intelligence culture, narrative culture. However, this is one of those where we're going to use these things to tell this other story about feminism, about being gay, about agency, you know, about choices, about, you know, the purpose-driven life. There's so much like invested in that episode. It's so layered. That's why I like it. That's why it's my second favorite of this entire season. Can
you imagine the neckbeard reaction if Humphrey Bogart is now played by a lesbian African-American woman? And we're going to re-release
Moosehead Charge the Capitol. That's what would happen. Everything is January 6th.
We're going to re-release it, and here are our actors and actresses.
Here is Casablanca, where Humphrey Bogart fucks a pig. What? Just like the Prime Minister of London.
I have an issue. So, and the other thing that they kind of touch on here with this,
God help this world if I ever get a hold of deepfake technology and the Star Wars movies. I'm gonna ruin all of them.
Oh, good. Please send me the first cut.
I will, and the Notebook. Okay. I always have to ruin the Notebook. As well.
You gotta ruin the Notebook. All right, all right then. Never seen that one, so let me see your version first.
Okay. All right. Anything else about Hotel Reverie before we move on?
I wanted to talk just real quick, mention about how, you know, there is an element here of we have a human being falling in love with an AI, and
oh boy,
there are some news stories on that right now.
Wait, okay, so like everything that we do is like half like a podcast about technology and artificial intelligence, and half of it's what we're talking about, like whatever TV or movie.
Right.
Have you seen Grok's AI companion? Like, I'm not really into anime girls, but she gets a full Popeye.
There's an NSFW version of that. Like that
I'm
is
aware.
one of the things. Okay, so
Within a day of me learning about this, there was already somebody on TikTok going, so she's like just out of the shower, dead in the eyes. I spent time with Grok's AI companion testing the limits of what I could do with it. I have not found the upper limit.
wow.
Yikes.
Wow. Well, and there's plenty of people. Now, the thing here is that there's this love between these two characters. We're definitely cheering it on here in this. And it's sad because things get reset. And this is really
before, like they developed this whole relationship, and then they're like, "All right, back to your to one," as they would say, and they're like, "Oh, she's not gonna remember anything we just did." No, we're gonna delete it and start again. They're like, "No, like you killed the person, basically. You killed that part of their life."
Man, did you ever remember hearing stuff about the Tamagotchis from back in the day? Which we'll be talking about that probably in the next episode too.
Didn't this cause kids to kill themselves?
I don't know about that, but I mean, there were some issues when their Tamagotchi would die.
Yeah,
like that. There was problems. So that's kind of what happens here, where this it kind of like separates. What's really interesting is at the end they kind of give her this telephone. They give oh my goodness, I can't remember her name. The actresses, they give her a telephone, and she can pick up the phone and talk to the AI at any point that she wants to, but she kind of has to pick up the phone and kind of reintroduce herself and talk to her. So it's weird because this actress had been dead and gone for the longest time. She begins to have a relationship. This is stuff that can potentially happen. Character.ai is another thing that's out there that represents like a fictional character or somebody that's alive, and you have conversations with it. And I guarantee you there are people that have relationships, feel like they have a relationship with this artificial intelligence. And that person might have been dead that this character.ai is representing. It's weird parallels once again. But yeah, it was a good, sweet story. We get to see the alternate ending, which is pretty cool, when she picks up the gun and shoots the bad guy I think it's her husband, or fiance that's coming after her, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I enjoyed what we got here. It was all right.
Next up is Plaything. Written by series creator and showrunner Charlie Brooker, directed by David Slade. The story surrounds a former video game journalist who tells the story of how he came to commit a murder in the 1990s. The episode takes place in the same universe as the Black Mirror film Bandersnatch, featuring Will Poulter and Asim Chowdhury reprising their Bandersnatch roles, though it is not a direct sequel. All right, Jesse. This was the last episode, Hotel Reverie, was one I had a lot to say about, and I'm going to have a lot to say about the next one, so tag in.
Oh, my goodness. Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh, it was awesome to see him starring in one of these. He does a great job of playing the, kind of whacked. It seems like he's kind of whacked out journalist that just, I think the opening scene is him busting something in a store in order to get arrested.
Yep.
With the whole point being, we get the whole backstory about how he was a journalist, got involved with the guy from Bandersnatch, and there was a game called Thronglets. In the process of playing said game, he takes a little bit of LSD, and the Thronglets start talking to him, and they start devising ways in order for them to multiply. That's kind of like the whole point of this game. It reminds me of, actually, I was going to say Lemmings, but that's not the case. It's something different. But either way, the Thronglets have, they start out as two, and then they...
Is it Leisure Suit Larry?
Yes. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what I was thinking of. 6, as a matter of fact, the 6th one.
Good.
But anyway, the purpose of the game is so these things could start to thrive and survive. Throughout the period of time that as he is taking the LSD, that he believes they're talking to him and communicating with them, he is taking care of them in this game. Very much like a Tamagotchi. I mentioned the Tamagotchi.
Right.
His buddy, he lets stay over, gets a hold of the game while he's out and starts killing some of them, because you can essentially play God with the game, and he starts killing some of these things, and that in turn makes our main character here, Cameron, decide to kill his buddy in order to protect them. Now, fast forward, you know, first off, he's taking LSD all the time. He's talking to these things, and the end game happens at the very end when he is sitting in a cell. Not a cell. He's sitting in an interrogation room, and he's got the two detectives there grilling him as to who in the world he is because they can't figure out who he is or something like that. And he's drawing. He starts drawing something. And at the end, he holds it up, and here it is, this QR code. And it turns out the Thronglets have been devising a way to hack into everybody's brain, and they do it by this QR code. I love it because hacking brains is something that is going on at this time. You know, it's not a matter of Neuralink. You've heard of Neuralink. That's something that you know, you could draw a parallel to here. There's been plenty of research done on how the algorithm of somebody's brain kind of works, and how the algorithm works for you on your TikTok. You know, I'm sure that they're sitting there taking all that data in, watching what you spend the most time on, what you swipe up, there are parallels here, I think. Now, granted, this happens a little bit further into the future to where this is, you know, I think it was like 2030 something, but either way, the point of him doing all this, the Thronglets want to create a society that doesn't have violence. So the best way to do that is to essentially anybody who's got a device, it uploads itself. You see the QR code and you become a zombie pretty much. I liked it. I thought it was fun. It was kind of one of those. I definitely like Peter Capaldi being involved here. And I was wondering what the end game was going to be. What's he trying to do? What's happened?
It felt very Usual Suspects. I will let you interrogate me for the length and breadth of this particular cultural touchstone, and at the end of it, I will surprise you with my wondrous ways. Alrighty.
Yeah. There it is.
You're in it for the ride, and the ride ends with, you know, haha, I've turned the world into zombies.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's a good way of ending conflict as well. I mean,
sure.
nobody's going to fight now that they're all brain dead practically.
It's the second time I've heard something like that today. The world would be a better place if all the men went to therapy. That's a literal line, and I know what you did last summer.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah, you ever want to like laugh and pee on this movie screen at the same time? Because that was me this afternoon.
Oh goodness.
Yes. That is one way of creating a lack of conflict, is to just make everybody emotionless.
Yeah.
It was fine. Like I said, it was one of those episodes where I don't really have a take on it as such. It's good acting.
You are a proponent for brain hacking, though. Like, you want to put your consciousness in a computer, if I remember correctly.
Dude, I don't know. I started working from home thinking, oh, well, at least I'll be in my nice air-conditioned house. I will keep it dust-free. I will keep up on these things. And, like, my health is the same. I somehow got, like...
Nothing's changed.
I somehow got a respiratory infection never leaving the house. I don't know how this happened.
It takes effort.
Yes, I'm fucking done with this fat-ass fucking... diseased body I have. Please give me a robot.
Get
body.
me out of here.
What needs to happen? So yeah, it's a fun science fiction short story episode. I don't have a lot more to say beyond that, other than I love Hollywood's like beef with cops and how cops are all terrible. And so, like, I mean, granted, this cop had to be terrible in order for them to get to the end of the story the way they needed to get there. Yeah. But there wasn't even a thought to how else this could have happened. It has to be the cop has to be a douchebag and beat the fucking, you know, defenseless prisoner.
Oh, yeah.
Like, of course he does. Of course he does. All cops are bad.
Take a couple minutes and tell me what your thoughts are on LSD and possibly, like, technology or... I wouldn't even say technology. Like, you know that LSD has influenced some of the biggest like brains out there, right? I mean, they've discovered things that other people didn't know. And some people lend that to LSD.
I will do even better. Because I know you like documentaries. Do you still watch 50 documentaries a week?
Not. I wish I did. I really wish I did, but no,
Okay.
I do not. But please tell me about one I should.
Well, it's so funny because we've actually done a TV party on it. Not you and I, but my a coworker and I that I'm friends with a couple of years ago. She wanted to come on. She's been on the podcast 2 or 3 different times, just to talk about like different documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
And this last one that she did was How to Change Your Mind, which was a documentary based on a book, I think, by Pulitzer Prize winning author Michael Pollan. Michael Pollan is known for The Omnivore's Dilemma, and The Botany of Reason, I think it is, and a couple of other books related to like food, psychology, biology, etc. The Omnivore's Dilemma is in Radledge University. It's a book you should read if you want to be smart like me.
Oh.
So he did it. So he like produced and I think narrated a documentary about the use of psychedelics in mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it was like a 4 or 6 part series, and each one dealt with a different psychedelic. One of which was acid, LSD. Another one was mescaline. Another one was mushrooms. I don't remember what the fourth one was. But there have been studies about the use of ketamine and about the use of LSD, about the use of the one with the colloquial term is ecstasy, in the use of mental health treatment.
Mm-hmm.
For dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, for dealing with depression. These things are used. I mean, I've actually had a couple of patients through BetterHelp talk about that they've gone on like mescaline trips, like not like literal trips, but also like trip out.
Right.
Peyote, that was another thing that was talked about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like there are people who have done like these like spirit walks while intoxicated.
Well, that's always hammed up in the movies. That's for sure.
Sure. And in The Simpsons. Remember the Homer Trip Out episode where where he does peyote, I think it is. So that's a real thing. I look it up.
All right.
Yeah, I tell you no lies. That's an actual episode of The Simpsons.
Okay.
That's known as the Homer Trip Out episode.
Nice.
So, I'm not an expert on these. I'm kind of telling you things based on like my casual knowledge of said. And it's a good documentary. There are people who swear by this stuff, and I think because we have, and I don't want to get off on a long tangent here, but you know how I feel about drug criminalization. I'm pretty much against it. I did most of my graduate work about decriminalization and harm reduction programs, and and the history of criminalization that's based in racism, essentially prejudices, that sort of thing. So I'm not really for banning drugs, and I think that some drugs with a doctor or professional control can be useful. That's all I'll say about that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was curious. I'm kind of like on the same boat as you, where I believe that I remember learning about microdosing not too long ago.
Yeah.
Never done it, but I believe that there is your brain is such a complex organ.
So want to see you fucked up on LSD.
I don't.
I will, Jesse.
I don't want to be.
I will be there for you. I will be your grounding post if you want to get fucked up on LSD and trip out, and I will watch you and take care of you.
Was it you that was telling me that people are using ChatGPT as the person to kind of keep them level when they do trip? No. Okay, yeah, that's the thing.
That sounds like lunacy, by the way.
You put on voice mode. Have fun. Go tripping and talk to ChatGPT at the same time. She can keep you grounded. Just say, "Hey, baby, I'm getting ready to go."
I cannot wait for the end of the world. Hurry up already. Anything else about this episode?
No, man. I'm ready to move on.
All right. So, who hasn't seen me cry in a while? Because you're about to.
Oh no.
Oh my God. Eulogy.
Oh man.
Written by Ella Road and series creator and showrunner Charlie Brooker. directed by Chris Barrett and Luke Taylor. In this episode, a lonely man revisits his memories and photographs of an old girlfriend who had recently died in order to send his memories to her and her family. Through the experience, he learns more about her and the relationship. The episode has received critical acclaim, as it should. It's the best episode of the season.
Probably of the series.
Yeah, and many reviewers calling it the best episode of Series 7 and one of the best episodes of Black Mirror of all time. I agree with all that. Paul Giamatti is a credit to the acting class and doesn't get the kudos that he deserves. Yeah, this one's only 47 minutes long. I could have watched 2 hours of this. The premise is as I read. He has sent a kit. In the kit is a little AI device. The object is to look at pictures, jog memories. The thing will log the memories, and they'll be shared with the family at the deceased's funeral. The problem is he's a curmudgeon, and he has buried these memories deep. As a matter of fact, things were so bad with the deceased that he cut her face out of pictures or marked them up with a marker. The story is essentially they met when they were young. They had a relationship. He tried to propose to her. She said no. He didn't know why, and he was devastated because of it. It was one of those where, like, why did you bring me to England if you weren't prepared to move this relationship forward? Like, why did you bring me all the way here just to break up with me? And so he came back to America, and he's never gotten over it. He's very much stuck at that point in his life. Over the course of the 47 minutes, he's telling the story of how they met and what happened. And the AI is like challenging him at times, trying to guide him. They did a really good job of writing the dialogue of the AI, like ChatGPT. Like it's very apologetic, but there are times where it gets very challenging. And as it turns out, the AI is actually an imprint of the deceased's adult daughter, who is arranging for all of this. And it's the funniest line of the entire episode. He's like, why didn't you tell me you were her daughter? You said skip the intro.
Yep. Right.
When opening a new device, make sure you read through all the
Read the instructions? No, thank you. This was a man. He is not reading any instructions.
But yeah, it took me on a very personal journey. I don't really want to have my own therapy session here, unlike some of my other guests that I do podcasts with. So I will just say that, and I'm tired of doing podcasts with you where I cry, Jesse. You always make me cry. So I will just say this. There's a lot of me in Paul Giamatti's dialogue about not being able to see the other person's point of view, being so angry with them, feeling neglected, abused, disrespected, feeling like the other person wasn't carrying their end of the couch, metaphorically, and feeling gaslit, like you don't know which end is up anymore. Like, this should be so much easier if only people communicated more fully, if only people would just tell you what's going on with them. This wouldn't be so gosh darn hard. And he's, he doesn't know her side of the story. So over the course of 47 minutes, a lot of stuff gets filled in. He starts to have revelations, and he was like, oh my God, I had the answers all along, and I fucked this whole thing up.
Learns that she's pregnant at one point. He didn't
that's the reason why that's the reason at the end, like, why she doesn't drink with him. And it's one of those things where I talk about this with other people in therapy. Not everything is the perceived slight you think it is.
Right.
So he's like, I came all this way, did a big romantic overture. Why aren't you responding appropriately? And in her mind, unbeknownst to him, I'm pregnant. I can't drink. And you're kind of acting like an animal now, so I don't want to tell you that I'm pregnant.
And help me remember here, because it's been a while since I watched the episode. And if you remember, great. If not, don't worry about it. But did she have like a relationship with somebody else? And like, you're kind of on the hook as to whether maybe this is not his kid,
oh yeah,
right?
No, she had like a one night stand.
That's right.
And it's caused by distance, but also there's a girl that he's friendly with over the course of their relationship. And she keeps saying to him, you're too friendly with this girl. This girl has eyes for you, and this is a problem for us. And he's like, no, it's fine. He's like being a very like a stereotypically obtuse guy. Of no, this girl who keeps touching my penis and licking my cheeks is not into me. This happens. I'm way exaggerating for effect, but have you met that guy who's fucking completely clueless? Like, it's like that bit from Family Guy where she's like on the bed with her legs spread wide open, and like bringing a plane down, land here. I wonder what she wants. So the girl sees, and I've been a part of this. I have been in the thing where a girl looks me dead in the eye and be like, "That girl is trouble. She's into you," and the guy's like, "No, who would be into me? I am Jabba the Hutt." It's like, fuck. So there's that level of clash between the two of them, and because people don't always make great decisions when they're emotional, I say this often, she ends up having a one-night stand with a guy, and of course, well, what's a one-night stand without getting pregnant? Mm-hmm. And she keeps the baby, and that's the end of that relationship. And what's even better is because he's such an emotional fucking animal about the whole thing, she writes him a letter saying, here's what happened, because not everybody is great about talking about things. Like, I'm a talker. I don't know if you know that about me. But that's a shocking revelation yet again on TV Party tonight. I have the gift of gab. Not everybody is as verbose or as a good communicator as some others. They do better in written form. Have you ever had somebody who you tried to talk to them about, try to have a conversation, and they're just like, "Hi, whoo,
right?"
And you're like, "I got nothing out of that. You have communicated absolutely nothing to me, and you should go home now." And then, like, halfway while they're home, they're texting you, and it's fucking Thomas Jefferson wouldn't have written anything this good.
Right.
I've actually, it was something, speaking of Melissa, it was something that me and Melissa would actually talk about how sometimes, like, the best way for us to communicate with each other was through text, because it caused us to have to think about what we were saying, as opposed to just reacting in the moment where we're fighting in a phone booth. So there's a lot of that in this episode. And when he realizes that, because at one point she's like, "Well, my mother wrote to you." He's like, "No, she didn't." And they're looking at the picture of the hotel room that he destroyed in his anger and in disappointment, and the letters on the ground that he never saw and he never read, and he always believed she just walked away from him for no good reason. So he doesn't know he doesn't know that she was pregnant and had a daughter. He doesn't know that he wrote to her, and he's been living with this anger for so many years, only to find out that had he just been a little calmer and a little more understanding and a little bit more intellectually inquisitive, a little bit more emotionally grounded, this whole thing could have been different.
Yeah, what a beat that was, where
that of regret that built up. I couldn't take it.
Yeah, he sees the letter on the ground, as they're doing these 3D reconstructions of things, and then doesn't he go like into his personal belongings, because he just gathered everything up and threw it into a box and threw that shit into the closet and never thought about it again because he didn't want to get hurt so bad. And then he goes and finds that box and reads the letter.
And the letter's in there.
He never even opened it. It's been sitting there the whole time.
That's when I fucking lost it, Jesse.
Right, dude.
That's when I lost it. When he reads the letter at the table and he realizes, I feel sheepish now. Yeah. I was like, I couldn't handle it. It was funny. I watched USS Callister after this before I went to go get my kids today. But I'm sitting here and I'm like putting transcripts into ChatGPT and all that. I'm working at my computer, so I'm kind of watching Black Mirror with one eye. And I like stopped and I watched Paul Giamatti in that moment, and he realizes what he had done.
Yeah.
And I'm at my desk just bawling.
Yeah, dude.
Like, had my girlfriend come in at that much, she would have been like, "Who died? What
is going on?
What's wrong with you?" And it was like, it's different than when I was having a nervous breakdown on the corner episode that we did, where I was not handling life well at that time. This was more of like over empathy, I have been there. I have seen that. Like, there was something about that moment where it was just it wasn't the kind of sadness of watching a 16-year-old shoot, heroin in a horse bar. It wasn't like that level of sadness. It was an overwhelming wave of regret that was too much for me to handle without having a kind of an emotional cathartic response. That's really the only way I can describe it.
Yeah. I mean, this is a very, very real episode. When
Yeah.
you look at, okay, the technology is fanciful, but
Mhm.
the journey that this man goes on throughout the episode is something very real that everybody has experienced at some point, I'm
You
sure.
talk about like being fanciful. So there's a bit there where he hasn't processed any of this.
Right.
He was hurt. He felt betrayed, and he just went home angry, and then just sort of built a life on top of like that toxic soil.
Yeah. Yeah. He buried it.
Right.
He threw it in a trunk, threw chains around it, and then tossed it into a lake, never to think about it again, because he knew that the hurt that he felt, he didn't want to ever experience again. He didn't.
Right.
And that's what, I mean, this whole episode, he cannot remember her face because he has, just like you said, he X'd it out. He cut her out of all the pictures. And now this is a real thing. This is kind of a real worry for me, and I'm sure a lot of other people. As you grow older, your memory kind of goes a little bit, or it starts filling in bits and bobs. But if you really dedicated your life to forgetting something, and then at some point 30 years on down the road, that thing comes back and you're trying to remember what it was, there's a very real possibility you may not.
Right.
And this guy did such a good job of erasing her from his life that it took this journey of this episode of him trying to remember what her face looked like. And you're there the whole 45 minutes wanting to see if this guy is going to finally, because she had passed away. And what we learn is that this is a grieving process. Well, let's try it again. This is a ceremony. Help me out. What was it? It was basically to help celebrate the memory of her in some way.
It was like, it was a wake.
Right. So they had sent all these things out to people to kind of help celebrate her memory. So like, what was his comments?
Have you ever been to a funeral?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been to a wake.
Yeah, I guess.
So like at a wake, there's usually a poster board. And it's got pictures on it.
Yeah.
It's that. Funny story about that. I don't know if I've ever told you this before. I've told you so many of my stories, so stop me if you think you've heard this one before.
If this isn't funny, I'm going to be mad.
Okay, it's hilarious. It ends with me being physically assaulted. That's not a joke.
Oh no. Well, it is going to be funny. All right, I'm in.
So, my mom's stepdad, Larry Pfeiffer, passed away many years ago. And Larry Pfeiffer, while he was my mom and her twin sister's stepdad, had a biological kid who is my mom's half-sister. Her name is Caroline. And I don't want to get into all like the personal dynamics, and that's not what people are here. They want us to talk about Black Mirror, so I'm going to get to the point. But there was a lot of hard feelings between the three sisters, Barbara, Susan, and Caroline. And when Larry died, a lot of those hard feelings kind of bubbled to the surface.
Just like, yeah.
So Caroline had two kids, then there's me, and then I have two other cousins who are the daughters of my mom's twin sister, Barbara. And I just said, there's a poster board that you do of memories. It's a memory board. Pictures of grandkids, pictures of the deceased children, spouses, all of these different memories, events, holidays, etc. That's what's supposed to be there. And there was one for Larry. There absolutely was one. And it had Caroline, and it had her children, and nobody else. None of my mom. None of me, who grew up with this guy. He was as much my grandfather as my father's father. Like I knew him. None of his... I don't remember if there were any of my grandmother. But there were a lot of Caroline, and there were a lot of her two kids, my cousins. So I get there late. Okay, I'm driving my '76 Chevy Nova, metallic green, to this event. My parents are already there. It's already started, actually. But I was like working. I had to get changed. There was a whole thing. So I get there late, and I don't think I had a cell phone at the time. It might have been like a beeper or something. But anyway, my father is like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there shortly." He's like, "Okay." I'm like, "I think I'm here now." Like, I'm walking into the building. My father comes outside to greet me, and I'm like thinking to myself, he's gonna hug me. He's emotional. Like this is a funeral. This is a bothersome event. And he proceeds to choke me.
What?
like fucking Frankenstein style. Like, hello, Father McBraw.
What?
Now it's not a full-on rape joke. Okay, it's
right.
kind of a kinky, just kind of grab you around the throat, make you feel like you're choking. It's more, he's shaking me. And I'm like, but why, Father?
What did I do? I took the
What have I
ride.
done now? And when he had control over himself and he stopped thrashing me about, go inside, look at the memory board, then come back out and tell me what you see. So I go inside and I'm looking at the pictures and I'm like, Caroline, Carl, Jason, Lauren, Caroline, Carl, Jason, Caroline, hey! There's nobody else here.
Wait a second.
And I walk outside, and just the stream of obscenities coming out of my father's mouth about what an asshole Caroline is.
Yeah.
I will never forget that day. Anyway,
Man.
to avoid that sort of thing, they do this virtual memory board.
Right,
based
right.
in people's memories of her.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yes.
Yeah. So, we're on that journey with him as he's trying to figure out what she sounded like or what she's, what she looked like.
By the way,
in order for him
I had to ask him why he felt the need to choke me. He was like, I had to hurt something.
Yeah, I was going to ask, but I was like,
that was his literal answer. I had to hurt something and I couldn't hurt her. I couldn't choke your aunt was his answer.
Oh boy.
I have a very healthy mental family.
No comment. What's strange is I will tell you that I can see parallels with something that's happened to me at a funeral. Mm-hmm. Very, very similar. So I completely identify with what you're talking about. Nobody was getting choked at my funeral. However, if somebody would have showed up, that person probably would have gotten choked. But
wonderful. Chokings and funerals go together like peanut butter and jelly.
Not just Appalachia, baby. It's all over. We're choking everybody.
This is why we don't get invited to Starfleet.
So yeah, I mean, I gotta get this out here before we move on. But this was the first time, and as you are teaching your kids, as you're experiencing things with your kids, there are definite moments where you get to see them in a different light than just your kid. You get to see them as the person that they are. And this episode, I sent you a message. My 11-year-old son Colton was watching this episode with us, and I tell you, dude, this is not an episode I would think that he would ever sit down and watch all the way through without picking up a phone. Oh my gosh, what is going, this is so slow. This is so drawn out, because there really isn't a lot that's happening other than you just watching him kind of walk through his process of what happened to himself in this trauma.
It's a narrative therapy episode.
Yes.
What that is.
And
so it very much resembles EMDR, which is a therapy used to treat PTSD, where you go through the trauma again. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now that definitely fits.
Well, Colton was invested in this thing the whole way through. And when the letter drops, when you learn what's in the letter, and Colton was crying. And I, at that point I was like, number one, kudos to Paul Giamatti for making my son feel something. That takes an actor to make an 11-year-old kid understand the trials and tribulations that you were experiencing as this character so well.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the first things that made me, I was like, man, the acting had to have been fantastic in order for him to be this invested. And you know, it's a very real story. People work through their trauma like this.
Yes,
People
yes,
work.
they do.
It is something that people do. We don't have the technology yet, but this is something that could possibly be happening at some point in the future. But regardless, people grab old boxes of photos, and people do forget what other people sound like. I always worry I'm going to, or well, I should say look like, because that's a lot of what we're talking about here with this episode. But what people sound like is a big thing for me. Like, I got voicemails of my dad that I'm never going to, I've saved in 3 different places because I don't ever want to forget what he sounds like. And I'm always afraid I'm going to be Paul Giamatti in a situation where it's been so long and I've forgotten and I want to remember or feel I should, and I don't have something to help me. And that's kind of what he did here. He erased everything. And then when this happened, when it was time to come to celebrate her life, he didn't really feel like celebrating at first. But then this journey that he goes through in order to deal with it, you know, there's a lot of revelation, and he realizes the bittersweet part of it is he realized what he had been sitting on this whole time and held on to such hatred. That toxic soil that you were talking about could have probably been dealt with within a year after everything was done, and before she, you know, a year after she left, if he would have just looked at what he had in his possession. So very bittersweet story. And like I said, I think this is actually one of, or if not the best episode of Black Mirror that I've watched.
And finally, we get to USS Callister Into Infinity. This is
and beyond.
This is the sequel to the original USS Callister series episode. Oh boy. Several of the cast of the USS Callister returned to reprise their roles, including Kristen Milotti, Jimmy Simpson, Billy Magnuson, Alanka Brooks, and Ossie Akil, and Paul G. Raymond, while Jesse Plemons portrays a digital clone version of Robert Daly. Written by series creator and showrunner Charlie Brooker, Bishop K. Ali, William Bridges, and Becca Bowling, and directed by Toby Haynes. It received generally positive reviews. This is the 90-minute. This is like it's basically a movie. So it's 3 months after the events of the USS Callister, which to recall what happened in that episode, Jesse Plemons' character has developed with the help of this other character, a fully immersive Star Trek game. It's not Star Trek, it's Starfleet. Doesn't matter. It's called Infinity. And he builds himself kind of his own world that he can play in. And he uses digital copies based on DNA of people he works with. So, like, he gets strands of hair or DNA off of coffee cups, whatever, and he puts them in the game. Problem is he's using a technology, and it's revealed this season, that allows you to create basically real life humans in a virtual, so essentially a live real life version of yourself lives in this game. It lives, it breathes, it dies.
It's a copy.
Right.
I don't know about living. Well, I mean, I guess it does, because we see a lot of them get injured and possibly die in this episode. So
like Billy Magnuson bleeds out.
Right.
So it's very real. So basically, in the first episode of USS Callister from last season or so, or 2 seasons ago, Jesse Plemons' character has god powers. Like, he controls this universe. So if he wants you to he wants to make you have sex with him, he'll do that. So you have these very real people having to cosplay in this game and be controlled, by a vengeful god. They rebel. They kill him. They take over the ship, and that's where it ends. Now, where this picks up is they're having to live in this game, and they're having to steal credits in order to live. So they're having to kill other players, take their stuff. It's a hand to mouth, dog eat dog existence. The rising action of the episode is basically one of the employees figures out there's players in the game with no player tags, which shouldn't be the case, which means there's something wrong with this game. Something is happening in this game where people are able to do things and affect it in a way that it wasn't intended, and they have to figure out who it is. And the boss character is like, no, that's fine. I don't really care about any of this. I don't even know what you're talking about. At which point, the employee who figured this out quits. Meanwhile, the people in the game and the version of Kristen Milotti in the game are able to contact Kristen Milotti. And she's trying to figure out like what to do with these people and like how to get them out of the game, like how to figure it out. So she offers to work with the big boss and say, hey, I can figure out who these people are. And it's kind of, they're moving through the plot at a pace well enough. This all gets to the big flashback reveal of how basically the big boss was manipulating Jesse Plemons. And Jesse Plemons got the idea of using digital copies because he's a digital copy.
Yeah. So just real quick,
Yeah.
I sent you a little something there a couple days ago about something that OpenAI had just released. It's actually going to be released to Plus users on Monday. Agents. Okay. So these are things like a computer that you just tell something that you want the computer to do, and it will pull up a terminal and go and do it. Essentially, what our James Walton, the CEO that's investing in Jesse Plemons' business, Jesse Plemons is like, look, I can create all the worlds you want, but I'm only one man.
Right.
And this guy's like,
I have to monitor things so like the planets don't blow up in the game or something.
Yeah. You have. I'm only one person. So he's like, oh, okay. So he goes to his trunk, pulls out the DNA replicator that ends up being a big part of the problem in the first movie, and they do a replication of Jesse Plemons and put him in a sort of like prison, I guess you would say. It's not really a prison, but essentially he becomes a prisoner. He can't leave, and that digital copy of Jesse Plemons' character is making these universes. So there's more of, there's now two of them, and one of them's inside, and he's able to handle things.
So they pull a Star Trek 5, go through the nebula and confront God.
What does God need with a starship?
And if you're feeling like season 7 didn't do enough with gender politics, this is a great scene with Jesse Plemons and Kristen Milotti. Because he's like, I'm a nice fella.
Come on, you can trust me.
I would never hurt people. Your other self was a rapist. I would never do such a thing. I would never hurt people. And she's like, listen, I need you. I'm a pretty girl, and you're a nice man. You need to do things for me. I need things from you. That is the way this works. And he was like, okay, but I would like to show you my etchings. So there's a lot of that in this thing. And she's like, I don't have time for your etchings. I need. I'm being way facetious, but that's kind of what he's doing.
Oh yeah,
like, I want to show you like my Star Trek stuff.
I want to show you my comics.
Yeah,
never works. Guys.
Never. Don't. Men, boys, Gen Alpha. No girl wants to see your comics.
Don't do it.
Ever.
Don't do it.
Never. They never want to see your etchings. Not even a little. So she's like, this time's a wasted, fella. I need get on with this. And he's like messing around with her, and he's like, let's play out these versions of Star Trek. So finally, he's like, okay, I'm going to solve the problem here. I'm going to send you. So by this point, she was running from the boss in real life and got hit by the car that hit fucking Regina George in Mean Girls. I'm so sick of this trope.
That person just got their license back. It was crazy.
Slow down. This is not Lamont. Fucking people think they're driving on the fucking Autobahn. So anyway, Kristen Milotti gets mowed down like every good girl should by this car, and she's in the hospital and she's fucking brain dead, because that's also a thing that we like to do, is brain dead girls.
Yeah.
So anyway, the whole thing is like, I'm gonna put you as you are right now, you evolved woman with agency, and I'm gonna put you into the brain of the dead girl, of your dead self in real life. Fantastic. But I also need to go back to the ship and get them out of there so that they're not in the game universe anymore getting killed by people. He's like, I will do that as well. And she's like, and what else are you doing? Because he says something like, I'm going to copy and paste. He's like, cut and paste. No, copy and paste is fine. No, that implies you're going to leave a copy of me somewhere. Because copy is not the same as cut.
Yes, well, you could stay here and keep me company.
Yeah, and that's where, again, if you were missing the gender politics of Black Mirror, here we go. So this incel is like, I'm going to keep you here as a pet. And his whole thing is like, I do all of this good work. This is so funny to me. And like, I'm like smiling, and I don't know whether to be like insulted or laugh hysterically at the God's truth of this scene. Here we have this dorky man who just wants a pretty girl to see what he's doing and appreciate him for his genius, for his talent. And she's like, I have better things to do than to validate your existence. I get on with it already, monkey.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, you're a pretty girl, and I want you to tell me I'm a good boy, and I want you to sit there and look at me. Look at me do stuff. Watch me play video games. Watch me podcast. Watch me read a comic. This goes on. Jesse's like, ouch, that hurts.
Oh.
So she's like, no. And he proceeds to domestic violence her.
No mouth. Just wipes her mouth away.
Here's the thing. He went from I will never hurt a woman to you have no mouth and can't.
Yeah, and flinging like, her backwards into
and
the
like fucking Darth Vader's her across the room.
Right, dude.
In what, 45 seconds it took?
Yeah.
In 45 seconds, I'm a nice guy to I'm a murderer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're kind of pulling for the guy here. You're hoping like this is a different version of what we got.
No, all
compared
better terrible. And this is why they will live with the bears, Jesse. This is why the women will live with the bears.
I think they're not saying it's a man. It's Jesse Plemons' character, whatever his name was, Daly, whatever it was. It was just that guy.
The women
that no matter
what. The bears are better companions than the men. The men are all domestic violence.
He is evil, and there's no getting around it. That's what it was.
Jesse and Mark's big fight is this character.
Robert Daly was an evil man, and no matter even though you throw him into this prison, his garage.
I'm gonna run this by Fancy when we're done.
500 years, and finally, when a woman shows up, you're hoping that he understands.
Like a complete fucking asshole.
You're hoping, like, okay, this guy's gonna, and you know, he's got to identify.
The other side of that is, for 500 years, he was in this place and didn't bother a single person. A woman shows up, ruins the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I feel like there's a story about that, about how there was peace and tranquility in paradise, and a woman fucked it all up. I don't know where I heard that story from.
Biography of Mark Rattledge, if I remember correctly.
Something about a rib and an apple. Maybe it was a story about a barbecue.
Barbecue, yeah.
Yes. Barbecue.
So he doesn't. She ends up putting a knife in his head when he starts becoming.
Yeah, she fucking kills him with a Klingon bat lift.
Right in the skull, which activates a kill switch. She's got to figure out what floppy disk, which, by the way, nice touch.
Yeah.
Does what he was planning on doing, because apparently he had put it all into that floppy disk, and she ends up porting herself into her brain dead body and also saving the ship before the whole game gets deleted, right. And by putting that in her head.
Yeah, and now so she's Herman's fucking head now, where everybody on the ship is in her brain.
Yeah, should be fun.
And so
should be lots of fun.
Several months later, the big boss is arrested and implicated in all kinds of wrongdoing, and she is still trying to figure out how to get all these personalities out of her head, and they are just living existence together, and that is where we leave USS Callister.
Time to watch what was it? Not Desperate Housewives.
The Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Thank you.
Which, if you're going to watch a Real Housewives show, that's the one. That's the one. That or New Jersey, depending on which level of trash you enjoy.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
So anyway, what did you think of this one?
I mean, I liked it. It was a little hard for me to catch up. It'd been 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. 2 years since we saw the other one, and I was like, oh, I want to watch this. I want to watch the first one with Mindy, so I have a better basis when we get into the next one today.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do that. So I was a little lost. I couldn't remember everything that happened in the first one. Luckily, though, by about 30 minutes in, you start, they kind of lay some things out there as to what happened, especially when Nanette has the conversation with Mr. Walton there, and kind of explains what happened. So anyway, I I liked it. I mean, this was it was an hour and a half. It was an adventure, kind of sci-fi film, pretty much. I mean, they're running around. If you want, we love the Orville, and this certainly doesn't touch on some of the fun stuff the Orville does, but this felt like a nice kind of sci-fi episode of a space themed show. So, I mean, I was having a good time.
Other than that final confrontation, which it obviously resonated enough with me that I had to argue with you for 10 minutes about it. But other than that, it was a fun adventure story. It was a fun use of technology. I think because of the leaning into Star Trek aesthetic, a lot of people like that episode, so they felt the need to do more of it. But as in terms of it being what it says about technology or the human condition, short of the one conversation between Jesse Plemons and Kristen Milotti, I didn't think it did any of those things.
Well, I think there's an argument
and then even you're arguing with me that it doesn't do that much.
There's an argument about digital copies for sure of your brain.
But they made that in the first episode.
Well, okay, that's fine. But now if these things actually are considered sentient, and they go on about and do their own thing, are we supposed to root for them? Because you've got James Walton who pops into this thing and is like, where's the gun? I'm going to start shooting people. My favorite moment is when they find the other James, the copy James, on a planet after they figure out that he's been alive. He's actually alive somewhere. You get the Return of Spock or whatever moment. And they go and find him on a planet, and they're like, all right, come on. And Nanette's like, come on, let's leave. And he's like, well, let me go grab Rocky. And he hands Rocky over to her, and she's like looking at it, and he's like, that's the only thing that's kept me company this whole time I've been here, which is apparently been a long time. And then she turns it over, and there's a hole in the back of Rocky. She goes, why is there a hole in the back of Rocky? He's like, I don't know. And then she realizes he's been putting his Peter in there.
Isn't that one of the... I love watching the counter on my podcast go up and down. So somebody just came on as I'm about to say, isn't that an internet rule? Rule number 42 is, can you fuck it?
Oh, Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the show.
And we lose two people.
There they went.
There they were. They were like, oh, he's always talking about banging rocks.
Oh, my gosh.
Anyway,
so, yeah, I mean, I had a good time with it. I think that, okay, yes, maybe they made the argument with the first one about the digital copy thing, but now you got to root for them. We were wanting them to escape what was the continuing adventures of the USS Callister, and we get, a good hour and a half here. Longest, definitely the longest of the episodes, I believe. So
it was fine. It was
fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Well, Jesse, this was a definite improvement over season 6. I think they lost their way, and they kind of took the best of both worlds and put it into season 7. And there was no episode that I actually fucking hated necessarily. I didn't love this. I didn't love
Bête Noire.
Bête Noire, but obviously other people did. So I'm not going to sit here and fight with people about it.
Yeah.
But I would say this is probably the most solid season of 6 episodes, because there's some that are only 3. Where I didn't hate or was bored by any single episode of Black Mirror. I think there was a lot of grist for the mill here. I think there was a lot of really great. It generated a lot of great conversation between you and I. Some great acting. One thing I did notice about this season is what a prestige gig Black Mirror has turned into. The actors they're getting for this, this is one of those things where I'm going to say this and then I got to go off camera for a second. They are getting some stellar actors to do stuff in Black Mirror that clearly people are getting their agents to get them this gig. Can you get me on Black Mirror? This is peak prestige television.
Yeah. Last season, I think we had, oh my goodness, the guy that played Jesse from Breaking Bad and Josh Hartnett, I think, in the space themed episode. I can't even remember what it was called. So yeah, there were some big names attached to that. Paul Giamatti's a big name in my opinion. Clearly, I think that I've seen Jimmy Simpson, who played James Walton in USS Callister, and a lot of stuff. Quite a few things, as a matter of fact. He was in Westworld. That was one that I remember for sure, watching Westworld. That's a good show. But yeah, the caliber of the stars wanting to be attached to a Black Mirror episode seems to be, they seem to be a lot more open to it. It seems to be a bigger thing. It is interesting to think about what these episodes are going to be as we get further into the future, because there are a lot of the same themes throughout a good bit of these. We talk about it's clearly bent around cautionary tales with technology, but now we get to see tech as a tool to help humans somewhat grow, or at least, impact the human condition. Honestly, this season wasn't a whole lot about tech going wrong. It's about people trying to make sense of their lives, their mistakes, and grief through the lens of technology.
Technology is a character. It's not a driving factor as such.
Right. Yeah. And there was a lot of fun to be had too. So, had a good time with season 7. I'm glad I got to enjoy it and got to talk about it with you.
Never show anyone your etchings.
Oh, I got like 12 boxes of them sitting back here. There's a reason.
With a woman's face like erased out.
What were the things that you mentioned? Don't show them your etchings. Don't show them don't watch me do a podcast. Watch me read a comic.
Yep.
Guess what?
Play video games.
I'm in the basement. I do all those things down here. Nobody can see me. So
Jesse's
there you
fucking
go.
song is "In the Garage" by Weezer.
In the basement.
All right, folks. This has been a great episode of Black Mirror. This is why I still do this, especially with the amount of TikToking and everything else I'm doing these days. I've gotten asked recently, why do you still do podcasts? Because I'm not going to have this conversation. I'm not going to have this conversation just doing TikToks by myself.
Right.
So why do I still do it? Because I love Jesse and I love talking to Jesse. That's why.
Yeah, baby.
So with that said, never pulling on Jesse's penis. Tomorrow, we'll be doing a different kind of pulling. Teeth, as it is. We have Damn You, Hollywood. I Know What You Did Last Summer. The most unintentionally funniest movie I've seen this year. There was a point where I'm laughing out loud at stuff that's happening on screen, and my girlfriend actually looked at me like, "What do you think is so goddamn funny?" And I'm like, "Tee." So that's that. Wednesday, it'll be myself, Andrew Graham, Alexis Hannah, and David Wright. We'll be looking at The Bear season 4, of which I think I'm halfway through now. Thursday is the Oceans trilogy, Oceans 11, 12, and 13. I was asked recently if we're doing the one with the chicks, and I have disavowed that one. However, Jesse, I sent you the artwork on it. You saw it. We're doing sessions already in the album. Now, originally this was supposed to be the conclusion, but I have decided to just keep doing this. This album can be as long as we want it to be.
Suno keeps coming out with new versions, so we just want to keep having the fun.
I'm going to do my own stuff. You can continue to do your own stuff, but we're going to continue sessions, and we're going to continue making songs, making fun of the people I podcast with until they learn to behave. Let me take 2. We will continue to make songs out of the memories of the great times we've had on this podcast. Yeah. Anyway, so the next one is Rattlage and Broadcasting Bingo, which is based on "We Didn't Start the Fire" by Billy Joel.
Nice.
We'll see how well that works out. But yeah, we're gonna keep doing sessions, and we might take a break for a little while just because I didn't plan to go past 10. So I have to find space in the calendar. But that'll be this Friday. Though I told the girlfriend, I'm like, I gotta cut back on some of the podcasting that I'm doing. I'm starting to creep back up again to right before the great culling of 2022.
Oh my.
So yeah, I gotta kill a couple of days here going forward. But that's what we'll be doing this Friday. I will never cut a Friday podcast with Jesse because I know he won't same day cancel on me.
And I do nothing on Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays anyway. So
sweet. That's all I'm going to talk about. Jesse, what do you got going on?
Oh my goodness! Tomorrow, Mark Radlich, you and me are going to talk about the Joker War Saga on the Source Material Comics podcast. So if you get a chance, ladies and gentlemen, you want to hear me and Mark talk about some comic books, check that out. That should be airing there tomorrow. Previously on Unspoken Issues, my 90s comic book podcast, myself, Evan Bevins, and Chris Armstrong got together and talked about...
Evan Bevins on Saturday tried to get me to like come on an Unspoken Issues to talk about something. I'm like, I don't think I'm allowed on that podcast. I think I am persona non grata.
I'm curious. I can't remember. Maybe Evan told me about that. Do you remember what specifically? Did he give you an idea as to what we were talking about? He wanted you part of?
No. He suggested for a future podcast.
Gotcha.
It was something like tangentially. It was Hercules challenging Galactus to a drinking game. And I was like, he was like, I want to be on the podcast when you guys talk about that, except that I'm persona non grata.
You're not allowed.
Yeah.
Not allowed.
I am banned from Jesse's Unspoken Issues podcast.
Oh, Mark, there's always a spot for you somewhere, I'm sure. Well, in Wolverine number 50, you get to hear us talk about Wolverine pushing a bike up like 3 flights of stairs, because that's what he decided to do, apparently, to get into the S.H.I.E.L.D. office. Anyway, we had a lot of fun. That was Gimmick Cover Summer rolling along. And then, of course, the Snap Material podcast where myself and Evan Bevins get together and talk about Marvel Snap. That aired earlier this month. We usually do about 4 shows a month. So if you enjoy Marvel Snap or you don't enjoy Marvel Snap, maybe you want to hear us kind of gripe about it, you might want to check it out. We have a good time over there. That is it. Mark Radlich, I am done talking.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us here on TV Party Tonight with my good man, Jesse Stotcher. Be well, be safe, and behave.